every one of these episodes, it's like I'm in a master class of life, and I feel so lucky to be able to learn from people I respect in the industry. So in today's episode, I'm so excited to introduce this guest.
Me too.
It's someone that I would tell my friends and my family that I want to be when I grow up. I've taken you on also as a mentor, and I see you as that, and also applied it to my own life.
Oh, wow.
So I feel so honored that he's here with us today. Raymund Sison.
Get a clue.
A Thinkers Podcast.
Or
Hello.
Propel
Hi,
Manila and
Raymund.
LSC. He's the Chief Creative Officer of both. And please tell us, how are you feeling today?
Oh yeah, I'm actually very happy to be here. The honor is mine actually. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I am excited about the topic that we're gonna talk about. So
Yeah.
let's go.
Yeah.
When I
Let's
first
go.
met you, I remember being introduced to you from a mutual friend. So shout out to that friend who's really also
Vito
been
Salma. Is
Shout
that-
out to
Hi,
Vito.
Vito.
instrumental
Your next
in,
guest.
in all of this. But I remember him sharing how amazing you were with people. And that is
Oh,
the
am I?
biggest. Yeah, that is the
Vito
biggest.
also told me that.
Yeah, that's the biggest life skill, I think, to be able to connect to people. And so when we were talking about what we wanted to shed light upon today, I think it's really important to bring that in quotation, humanness into our
Humanness.
industry in a time where is AI taking over? We have all of these
Perfect topic.
shortcuts. Yeah. We have all of these shortcuts. So as a creative, how do you bring in your human side in what you do?
Yeah, very, very interesting conversation about humanity because humanity is the ground as a playground actually for creativity. Because in my everyday job, I always try to combine it, humanity and creativity, and then technology. It's that intersection I feel is the sweet spot of creating something that is great and meaningful. I feel like in our everyday briefs, because I feel like creativity should be solving something in our industry. It always starts with humanity. Whether it's a problem or it's an opportunity, what is it for the people? Is it making people better? Is it adding value to life? And from there, you actually find a lot of insights that could lead you into the right creative idea that you should take. That's why I always combine it. The base on humanity, you create something. And once you create that something, you have technology to actually scale it. You know, now we have all the social media channels to scale whatever you have. But even
Exactly.
before, way back, for instance, before TV was already a huge innovation, right?
Yes, media
So-
has always been changing. Yeah.
The technology is just changing, but the very basic of it is it's about humanity. And that is the
feelings and
springboard of
emotions.
everything that we create.
Yeah.
Because I mean, what is it for without humanity, right?
That really inspires me, I think, because and I don't know if I've told you this before, but it's proving me otherwise because my idea, based on my experience working in the advertising world, is I actually felt like for me, I left it because I didn't feel the humanity.
It was
Yeah.
toxic.
Yes. So it's interesting that you're sitting here so passionate about what you do.
Yeah, that's why I'm very curious coming from
Yeah,
an
yeah, very interesting.
agency.
Yeah,
Ah.
and learning about your experience in this industry is the complete opposite.
Yeah.
So what is it that Propel really is? Is it an agency, an advertising agency? Can
Yes.
you tell us a little bit more
Yeah.
about what exactly you do?
Yes. Before I go into that, I want to take on your impression
Experience.
on
Impression's a good
or
one.
Experience.
in
Yeah.
advertising because it's pretty common
Mm-hmm.
and it's a fact. A lot of people find it toxic only because of the long work hours and maybe the lack of humanity. It's so easy to like lose that in a rat race when you are chasing deadlines and tight timelines,
Yeah.
and that really happens. I think the reason why whenever someone asks me if I'm still happy where I work, I actually always tell them I wake up every day like super excited to create something. because
Yeah.
I feel like creativity in this creative industry, especially in advertising and marketing, you have such enormous
Responsibility.
responsibility, influence, because whatever you create will be on like huge billboards. Whatever you create will
Yeah.
be on television,
Yes.
and there's a lot of media money's put into it, so many people
Mm.
could see it.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I say it's also a responsibility because you gotta like say something that should make things better, that should make life better, that should make people better. And I'm not
Mm-hmm.
saying it in a way that's really like world changing type, big
Mm-hmm.
ass um, motherhood statements, but I'm
Yeah.
saying it in a way that even in the most simple ways that you can make someone choose something that will better them for that
Yes.
day.
Yes.
To me, that's
Yeah.
something great.
Oh,
Yeah.
100%. And I think that's the original, especially now we live in an age of influencers. Media in itself, billboards, the more now traditional forms of media, that's actually the original influence and
Exactly.
impact.
Yes.
And I wanna circle back to like how we do it in Propel because it's important to address the toxic
Yeah.
experiences
Mm-hmm.
because in our agency a lot of us came from different agencies as well, so we've learned a lot about the the worst things about something and the best things about something.
Mm-hmm.
And what we did was like we got all the best things in our experiences and turned it into like an agency
Mm.
that could be a place where people want to work in.
Yeah.
So in our agency it's rare for us to like do toxic hours. In fact, there was a time that we had to like block off lunch times, no meetings on lunch, no meetings after 6 and stuff like that, just so our people could really have their time with their friends, with their family, because that's important to us, you know?
Mm-hmm.
In creativity, it only is meaningful and authentic when you also have authentic and meaningful experiences. If you don't have
Yes.
that, then what are you gonna put in your creative work,
Yeah.
right?
No,
So
True.
exactly.
I
Exactly.
feel
True.
that for our creative teams to be really great, to be coming up with amazing stuff, they need to experience things. For instance, in my team, I would bring them to different experiences so they could actually see it for themselves and
Mm-hmm.
apply it in their work. Like last week, because I created this program in our agency called Creative Playdays,
Mm.
inspired
I
by Lego.
saw.
There was one speaker from Lego
Mm-hmm.
who talked about play in our agency. As a friend of mine, and I was so inspired by her talk. And she said in that talk, play inspires creativity, and you
Mm-hmm.
should allow people, your team, to play.
Yes.
So,
100%.
based on that, I created a program, Creative Play Days, that there are days when we don't really work. We just like play. And that day was a lot of fun. And apart from like inspiring creativity, it also inspired camaraderie, which is very important.
Connections.
And the other thing is fun. I believe that fun is really the secret ingredient to great
To
creative
great.
work.
Yes.
Because creativity
I
is
think
intelligence
so.
having fun. If
Yes.
there's no
Yeah.
fun in it,
Yes.
then you're gonna bore your
Yeah. I
audience,
think
right?
it's
True.
feeling, like we were just talking about earlier, feeling is a secret to life, but also having fun and playing.
Yes.
I think there's so much talk these days about like, and I love that there's so much more awareness around like healing the inner child,
Yes.
and part of that is playing. Whether or not it's a generational thing, I think it'll span across generations where when we grow up and become this idea of what is an adult, we do forget to just enjoy life. And then when we focus on all the seriousness,
Agree.
Yeah.
if that's our focus, we actually lose our creativity and our what you call like the right brain, right? So sometimes we actually have to shut off the logic
Mm.
in order to create and to feel human.
Yes. And they say nga, di ba,
Yeah.
parang for you to gain the trust of a person, you gotta make that person smile or
Yeah.
laugh.
You have to
Because it
make
is
that
the closest
connection.
way to trust.
Yes.
Mhm.
You have
And
to
I
make
think
that
creative work is
connection.
also about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Creative work should be able to influence people,
Engage.
engage people,
Yeah.
attract people.
Especially right now, there's so much talk about authenticity.
Oh, I love this topic.
Right?
Yeah.
There's so much talk about like I'm just trying to rebrand to be more authentic.
Yeah.
But
No
I think
makeup look.
yeah,
Yes,
but it's
exactly.
taken. I mean, everybody has their own definition of it, right? But what does it really mean to
To be
go
a-
back to being authentic?
I feel like there is a return to authenticity these days, only
Mhm.
because of course, we know about the creator economy, influencing
Mm.
influencers, and
Yeah.
in fact, I was in a conference where the major topic was how do we bring back authenticity to our influencers and creators,
With all the
because
filters.
apart from the
Yeah.
filters, the way they create has become like a brand talking versus them talking.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like it's important that the brand, whatever the brand is, aligns with the personality of the influencer. I mean, it's basic that
Yes.
if I talk about a certain brand, it is me talking. It's not the
Yes.
brand talking, right?
Yes.
And that's just
Yes.
one part of
Mm.
authenticity.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's very important that we really bring in the creators that we get and let them play with the
Yeah.
communication, the way they want to say it, and not
Mm.
really because usually, for instance, in some of my campaigns before, there are prescribed lines that you're gonna
Mm.
say
Mm-hmm.
this,
Mm.
which really doesn't work for me. I feel like we gotta give them freedom
Mhm.
on how to say it, and how to do it,
Mm-hmm.
and how to create. Because what are we getting them for if not for themselves, right?
Correct.
Yes.
Correct.
No,
And
exactly.
authenticity, I feel also is becoming very treasured today because of all the tech. Apart from the filters and a lot of tech coming our way,
Mm.
authenticity is becoming the heart of the technology. So,
Yeah.
di ba, parang if you're authentic, automatically there's an instant connection, there's an
Yes.
Yeah.
instant trust,
Yeah.
and
Mm-hmm.
it's important, especially in this very cold technology, that you have that.
Yeah. I think that's what I felt when I first met you. And mind you, and we've talked about this. When I first met you, I was in a very different space. I feel like I met you in my worst version of myself. And so meeting you and being able to, even back then, already feel the warmth in you. And for meeting me back then, it's like I felt like the worst version of myself, but I still can
But you still look
remember.
very good.
Gosh, but I still
That's how
remember.
you slay.
Yeah.
I still remember feeling that connection to you, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, we talk about that now, and it is true. I think it reflects, it's always a personal reflection, whatever you're going through personally in real life, also. And to be able to bring that, like, for example, with
True.
influencers, right, that we tap into, and content creators, that's their job, or that's an avenue that they express their creativity. But if we let them also lose who they actually are, their whole life is not only their job. And that goes
Yes,
for all of
yes, yes,
us,
yes, yes, yes.
right?
Yes.
And I guess I'm understanding it now that that's where the humanness maybe comes from.
Agree. I agree. I agree. In fact,
Yeah.
I I heard this influencer talk about how she actually aligns what she posts with the thing she wants to get. What do I mean by that is
Yeah, I was gonna ask
if
you.
I want to get if I want to get Nike
Mm.
because Nike aligns with my philosophy,
Mm.
with what I believe in, then I'm gonna keep posting about stuff that will make me create for Nike.
Yeah.
Versus the other way around, that hey,
Mm.
Nike will get you, and then you become Nike, huh?
So she's like
Versus
manifesting.
it's like that exactly. It's like
Yes.
manifesting, but it has a strategy
Yeah.
underneath. Na
Yeah.
oh, I'm gonna do this so I can get this.
Is that
Yeah.
missing these days, Raymond, where yeah, talking about authenticity still, where companies are so focused on profits and being out there with brand awareness and lead generation, where they lose sight of who they are as a brand and losing touch with of their values in connecting to their market.
Mm. Very very good topic,
Mm.
because of course businesses need to earn, right?
Mm.
Businesses need to like get money so that it can also like be sustainable and
Mm.
keep people employed.
Mm.
But it's important that the profit is balance with purpose. Because
Profit and
I feel like if it's all profit, it's not gonna work. People are gonna feel toxic. It's not
Mm-hmm.
good for the community. It's not good for the world. But if it's also all purpose, it's not sustainable because you don't have something to fund it.
Yeah.
So if you balance it, like purpose and profit, then I think you have a good. That's a sweet spot of like sustainable thing, whatever you're creating, but also it's meaningful.
Yeah. The idea of branding is like, okay, profit because of what you look like on the outside.
Mm-mm.
But there's just also this whole movement of culture right now,
Oh,
which is purpose.
yes,
Yes.
yes, yes,
Yes.
And
yes.
that's what I wanted to tell you about
Oh, I
because
love
from
talking
the
about
last
culture.
time we met, because you explained to me the 4 pillars of Propel,
Yes.
I've tried to implement that into my company also, and I brought in a whole culture leg,
Oh wow.
which really inspired me. So thank you so much for sharing that with me.
Yeah, great to
Because
know.
I think, I mean, we hear about companies having this company culture, right? And so if you compare that to what we were talking about, which is like profit and brand,
Mm-mm.
versus a company culture is like purpose and
Purpose.
feeling. Like you don't necessarily see a company culture right away, but it's something that you feel being part
exactly.
of it. So how have you brought culture into the play space or the playground of creativity?
You know, in our agency, I think we're one of the first agencies in the country that brought that had a chief culture officer. And the job of the chief culture officer is to just make sure that people feel connected to the company and that the culture is intact and that people in the company have a nice experience from the moment they step in our company or interviews
Mm-hmm.
and then all the way to the everyday.
It's like an elevated HR work.
Yeah,
And
exactly. That's what I was telling my team.
in
Yeah.
that role, HR is also part of it. So, for instance, with our chief culture officer, HR is under her, learning and development is under her, experience and engagement is under her, and among other things. But those three pillars are very important in that role because, of course, culture is about HR is about human resource and very very important.
And
Today.
that will
Without
never
people,
go away.
we won't.
Exactly, and
We
that's
won't
why
move.
I
We
mean,
can't move.
even with all of the technologies coming in, I have some of my team members who are like, "Is my job going to be replaced?" You know, as a copywriter,
Oh,
because now you have all of these AI, but there's still a warmth. I feel like it will never be able to replace, and
Yeah.
humans will still be the greatest resource.
Yes, I feel like there's a lot of talk now about job replacement.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But I think you will only be replaced by who know someone who knows how to use AI. AI won't replace you definitely.
Exactly.
But if you know
exactly.
it, you'll be replaced by someone who
Who
knows how
knows
to use AI.
Yeah. So
Because
it's
we should use AI as a co-pilot.
yeah, and
Mhm.
it's like I mean, I love the idea of working smarter and not harder because if I could continue to go down that path, I don't work to have a hard time. You know what I mean? Like I'm done with my era of suffering.
We
You're
don't like
done
suffering.
Yes. We have
But
let
how
go
will
of
you
that.
feel
Yeah.
if you don't do suffering also?
Yeah. No, because I think in a previous episode I've talked about how I consider myself an artist and how I only paint when I'm sad, right? But even since that episode, I'm starting to reframe that idea for myself that I don't have to feel a certain way, sad, happy to create.
Oh
I
my
just
God, very
need to
true.
keep creating.
Very true. I have
Yeah.
I have this copywriting talk where there are a lot of tips. One of the tips there was kung nasa mood ka, magsulat ka. Kung wala ka sa mood, magsulat ka pa rin. You cannot it's not a mood thing. You gotta
It's not a
keep
mood.
creating.
Yes.
Yes, yes,
Yes.
because I think that's actually the whole limiting belief for me. It's like, you know how it's kind of like the idea of like personal branding versus like your business brand. To me, it's a box. Like I'm trying to box myself in when I don't actually have to be boxed. And why do I box myself in is to try to fit into what I think is either like societal or just what I've seen is
Other people,
possible.
yeah.
But And that's why I love having talks like this,
Yeah.
because it's like I call myself out on like, hey, just because this was my one experience that I saw and then I saw it validated by like
Yeah.
another person
Mm.
doesn't mean it's the only outcome.
Yes.
Yeah. And
It's one of our human biases.
Yeah.
yes.
And
And
I
so
like that you talk about limiting beliefs because sometimes we are limited by what we know about ourselves.
Yes.
And if we learn about other people, then it becomes like, oh, it expands what you think
Yeah.
about this thing because
Yeah.
other people have a different experience.
Yes.
yeah, and I
It's
mean,
possible.
like I will continue to mention this, but like I see you both as like mentors for me, you know, and I feel so lucky that as early or late as where I am now, I get to experience that. But there's so much more to learn always.
Yes, eternal
Yeah.
learning
Internal learning.
and internal learning. Like I feel like we all need to be like students of the world, like
Mhm.
continuously learning.
Yeah. And even like that, like it's so easy, I think, to put uh people, celebrities, like influencers on like bosses, entrepreneurs on pedestals. And that's why I love having these conversations, because I realize we're human.
Yeah,
Like we're actually
it's a
all the
connection
same.
that matters.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter like the age that you
Mm.
are, or like where you come from, what you come from, but we all experience and actually search and are searching for a very similar thing,
I agree,
which
and that
is
is what
connection.
that is humanity.
It's
That's
humanity.
It's all the like
Yeah.
We
being
are
able to
social
connect
beings.
on a human level.
Yeah. I share this story because I think when I approached you first about this, I was struggling with the recruitment process and keeping the creatives and how to motivate, you know, this generation
Yeah.
where we have so many options
Yeah.
out there, and learning from the influence of my father, who is a businessman.
Mm-mm.
There was one day where I just had it that
Mm.
day, and I broke down, and he told me, he was just like, "You're not supposed to show weakness."
Mm-mm.
You know, which to me, I was like, okay, I admire you, I respect you, but that's not gonna work these days.
It's not gonna work these days.
Yeah, like vulnerability to me is a strength.
Brene Brown.
Yes. Yeah, no, it is. And I know I should be like, hey, dad, you should watch this. But maybe it is difference in the times. But these days, I actually find that I connect more with my team by showing that side.
Agree.
And that also
same.
allows them to connect
Same.
with you, like by being
Yes.
vulnerable also.
Yeah, because I mean, hey, to each their own. Everyone's different in how they choose to brand themselves or be a leader. I don't think there's one worse or better way. But in this day and age, for me, it wouldn't work to not show emotion.
Yeah.
Especially as a creative, I think.
As a great, yes.
Yeah.
I share the same exact sentiment about this because I agree with you that there are different leadership styles, and maybe some of those styles work for others. But for me, what
Yeah.
works is like being human.
Mhm.
What works
Yeah.
is like I connect with them on a human level.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And recently, I've been watching this series called The Diplomat, and there is a line
Yes.
there that says, "People like to do things for people they like because we exist in a
Mm.
marketplace of favors."
Mm.
Yeah.
And I feel like because you are connected to one person, your team, they actually do a lot more for you, more than what you expect. Versus if I do the Iron Hand, doesn't work for me because they will follow me, but they follow me with a heavy heart.
Yes.
Versus them doing it with all their heart
Mhm.
because we feel connected, because we like each other, because we have that bond, because we trust each other. And I feel that's where humanity and vulnerability
Yeah.
works so well in leadership roles today.
I
I'm
think
not saying
so.
also that the iron hand isn't working, but to others it could work.
Yeah.
Is who you are now as a leader a collection of where you came from, where you started, na, hey, or have you always been like this? Like, have you always been so in touch with
Your humanity.
people,
Yeah.
your humanity?
That's actually a very, very great question because I feel it's a combination of everything.
Mm-hmm.
Like I like getting the best out of things I experience. Like from my mentors, I get the best out of all the things that they taught me. But at the same time, with all the people I meet, because it's all about empathy. I feel empathy works so much with leadership, and it has a lot to do with where I am now because I apply it in the way I lead people. When you talk about, there is a difference between someone following you because they like to follow what you want, or like they want to because they think they trust what you want to do, versus following you because you're the authority. I want the former. I want
Of course.
I want my
Yeah.
team to
Yeah.
follow what I say because they agree with it. They
Yeah.
are inspired by it, or like
Mhm.
they totally trust that this is the best way to go. Versus I
Mhm.
tell them, hey, you should do this, and they're actually not doing it because they're doing it because of just I said it.
Because it's
Mm-hmm.
their job.
And yeah,
Yeah.
and I say that empathy has a lot to do with that because it goes back to connection. It goes back to how you treat your team, like your
Mm-hmm.
colleagues. And I always usually ask them what they think about something. Like, if I have a direction, do you think this works? If they don't, then let's talk about it. I'm
Yeah.
open to being proven wrong. Like, maybe you have a better way to do it.
And you also get inspiration from
Yes, I
them.
learn a lot from my team. They
Yes.
are amazing. They are
Oh,
amazing.
I always say that too. I think it's like it's never a one-way learning
Yes,
stream,
yes.
and I
Yes.
guess hey, maybe that is because we have access to so much more information these days through
Mm-mm,
the palm of
mm.
our hand that we do have access to other people's opinions also, versus some time ago before all of that existed, where it's like people take direction because of fear.
Mm-mm.
And sometimes back then, maybe it was a fear of the unknown, but now it's kind of the opposite where or information overload. So there's so much to know. So
Yes.
Content surplus.
yeah, when you know so many things, you can be the judge for yourself to be like, oh, I resonate with this thing and I
Mm-mm.
resonate with this
Yeah.
thing. Where I think leaders in this generation are more open minded to all of it. And it is really nice to see, I think, to also be able to be in a space where you're not followed because of fear, but you're followed because you're respected.
You're respected and you're trusted. I
Yeah.
agree with that. I
I
also like what you said about being a student and learning because in our field, creativity, it's one of those fields where the student and the teacher could be in one same person.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like that thing is that resonates with me because I feel like it's very true and it's compelling.
yeah, I think that goes back to boxing yourself in, right? I think maybe some older, more traditional ways of thinking is like you're looking to define yourself as like one or the other, where it can really be both
Yeah,
or a
yeah,
third option or a
yeah.
fourth option.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. But it's nice. I think it made me think about also bringing in my team, like whether or not I labeled it as like culture when I first started. I actually already from the very start had a certain culture that I envisioned for myself, whether or not it was said out loud. And so when I was onboarding people, and this is something I still do, when I do onboard people, I always start with like a session where we figure out what we want and we don't want,
Yeah,
right?
true.
And then for me, every time it's so different and it can be for a specific situation, but something that I always put, which is like the opposite of I don't want to be a bad leader.
Mm-mm, mm-mm.
The opposite of that to me is I want to be a respected, not just leader, but person. Yeah, we want this platform, we want this, we want that, but don't you want to also be respected while you're doing that?
And all of those things actually also boil down to like how you treat the people.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, in our creative department, I the first thing I told them is work is secondary, but family and your family is the most important. So if you have an emergency, go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Work will take care of itself.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, whenever there's a leave that they want to they wanna take a leave, it's their privilege. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
say no. I'm gonna say yes to
Yeah.
your leave because it's your privilege.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just treating people nicely.
Yeah. Because
Yes.
work is just a means to an end.
Yes, and and there are people who are fortunate enough to like really combine work and passions
Passion.
and life. Sabi nga nila, work-life balance means different to different people.
Yes.
Some it's like half-half work
Mm.
and life, it's a balance. Sometimes work is in a small dot in the life.
Yeah.
Or sometimes it's intersects.
Yeah.
So it really depends how you see it, as long as you feel like it's not really ruining your life or like
Yeah.
disrupting your family. So if, for instance, me as a leader, when I take a leave, I usually don't work. But if you really need me, I'm gonna set aside like an hour if you need me. But I will take my time and reply to you when I'm available. But I won't. Don't expect me to reply right away, or don't expect me to reply at all. But I'm gonna set something when I can reply to you. I can get back to you because probably need my opinion or that. But if I'm, for instance, on a vacation, I would rather also like just enjoy it.
Yeah.
And there are moments that when I check my work phone, it really doesn't bother me if I check.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't feel like it's disrupting my vacation.
Mm.
But I will only reply if I feel like it's convenient to me
Yeah.
because I'm on a vacation.
Yeah.
It's not like totally I'm not gonna reply to you.
Yeah.
So to me, that is another style of work-life balance.
It's really a matter of perspective.
Yeah, because to others naman, work-life balance is that after work, I'm not gonna take care of work. I'm just gonna have my life, right?
Yeah.
That also works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's a different people, different styles.
I think so.
To each his own.
But for me, it's so hard also, like as a creative, because I don't know when creativity hits me. So if I'm
true.
like, I only work from this to this
Yeah,
hour,
yeah.
I'm like, but what if randomly I get a random
Yes.
idea? And so, like, I tell my team this. I'm like, okay, we have this platform. Just ignore me if I message like, because I'm a morning person at like 5 a.m.
I'm
or if
like
I
that
send a message at like
also.
11 p.m. No, you're in no way obliged to reply, but I'm just sending it because A, I'm gonna
'Cause
forget.
It might go
Yeah.
away.
And the
Oh my
kind of
God.
big magic, right? I think that's the
Yeah.
idea. I don't know if you guys have heard of the idea of big magic. Yeah, that's big magic where it's a belief where it's like ideas are just floating there and it's kind of like the first one who is able to
Yes,
listen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know they are fleeting, so you gotta write them down.
Yes.
Because you will really forget it.
Yes.
That happens to me all the time. So I also
Yeah.
do what you do.
Yeah.
What I do now is like no need to reply.
Yeah.
I have a
Me
thought.
too. My opening statement is sorry for texting this late or this early, but I just need to text this or
Yeah,
tell
yeah,
you now. Or
Yeah. And actually, I start to think about that more because, like, when we work, we still
Yeah.
work on weekends. Like,
Yes.
especially being in socials and now having access, like, you know, as a client, as a friend, like, we're not only connected through like text, but it's like there's a
Yeah.
platform of Instagram, like
Yeah.
Facebook Messenger, like
Because
email.
our clients are also friends.
Yeah.
Yes, and you can't rid of that because the whole idea of this is to build relationships, right? You
Mhm.
want something long term, and you want your clients and
Yeah,
your friends to
yeah.
trust you.
Yeah.
So I started to think like, what if I separate both, right? Because I used to just have one device where it kind of doesn't phase me anymore. I get all the messages from my clients, like and I just don't see it. But I think subconsciously it did kind of impact me. So now I start to separate, like, I have a device for all the work things to come through. But I used to give so much emphasis to having to separate it because in my head, that's what work-life balance
I
meant.
see. I see.
But now I'm like,
Interesting.
actually, but I don't
Interesting.
mind replying on the weekend. So why am I pressuring myself to
Yeah.
really
Yeah,
separate both?
exactly.
You know what? I have a different.
Yeah.
I have how I do it is different because I get stressed when I have two phones.
Yeah, okay.
I used to have that also. It's like, oh shit, I have a work phone and a personal phone. I get stressed, like where do I text and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
figuring. I feel like I lose some time just figuring it out where to do it.
Yeah.
So I just like combine
Yeah.
them. Like if I really want to reply, I'll reply. If not, then
Yeah.
it's my prerogative.
Yeah. And I think people are more understanding of these boundaries these days. Yeah, because that's actually one thing I am grateful for with the pandemic. I think there's so many of these like memes and accounts that say like just because you're active on this one platform or I didn't reply to you on your email but I posted a story.
Yeah,
You
that
know
should
what I
be
mean?
fine because you know,
Yeah.
that could be your form of self care.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it doesn't mean like I'm slacking just because I did that, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
that could be your rest, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's now where I'm trying to find the balance is like also letting go of control
Yeah,
a little
very,
bit.
very hard to do, but very important.
It is because the idea of you going on vacation, the idea of me going on a vacation and not checking my phone stresses me out.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like she told
wow.
me, like I
You know,
think it was last month, she told me I
Yeah.
can't go on a vacation. Why?
Yeah, I think it's like I feel
That's
like
crazy.
I'm at a point, and I'm aware about this, but I'm at a point where I just feel like if I'm gone, everything I worked so hard to build will slip.
I mean, that's valid.
Yeah.
That's valid. And if you're feeling that way, then most likely that will happen. And what I think what's important is that because that was also my problem before.
Mm-hmm.
And I was telling you about this story when I last
Yeah.
year I took a 1 month vacation and I totally didn't work at all. And I
Yeah.
was so happy that my team didn't need me and they worked so well and everything went well. And I was
Mhm.
like, wow, I'm so amazed how this team has turned this around because
Mm.
before
Yeah.
I would have to work because I would feel like, oh shit, maybe they need me or like maybe this won't go well.
Chaos will
But
happen.
I feel like really training them with the way unpack how you work,
Mhm.
unpack your style,
Yeah.
and teach that to them so that they could actually work
On their
towards
own.
that standard. And I
Yeah.
think you'll be fine.
Yeah, and actually, I mean, I am no parent, Mish. I know you have 3 little ones, but you saying that makes me think about the idea of parenting, I guess, because you can't just handhold your child
Mm-mm.
all
Mm-mm.
the way, and like for me, my I know I hire my team because they're all capable. And so
Yes.
micromanaging is not actually, it's like a me problem because I have a hard time letting go of the control. But to be able to let your child grow, in quotation, means that they step up.
Mm.
And I
And
think that's nice. That's what surprises you,
correct.
me.
And you know what? The most fulfilling thing for a leader is to see your team grow so well,
Yes.
succeed, and like develop into their best selves.
Yeah.
And I think that's the essence of leadership. Like, how do you make
Yeah.
sure that your team develops in a way that's so holistic,
Yeah.
from not just career wise, but also
Yeah.
like mentally, emotionally,
Mm.
in all aspects of their life. And to me,
Yeah.
that's very fulfilling if you like if
Yeah,
you're
I
able
because
to
think
do
that's
that.
what's relevant about being a leader. Like you're put in that position
Yeah.
to, and that responsibility to
I was gonna
Influence and
say,
have it
responsibility in our
yeah.
impact.
agency nga, because we really want to have a culture where people could really grow 360 in all
Mm.
aspects of their life, not just financially, emotionally, physically, mentally. So we created a lot of programs around it. I think I
Mhm.
told you about this in one of our coffee
Yeah, yeah,
sessions
yeah.
where like we provide a life coach to our team, a
Yes.
nutritionist to our team, a physical
Yeah.
trainer. We provide
Mhm.
wellness sessions,
Mm.
and even the way we design our leaves are not the usual leaves.
Mhm.
Apart from our sick leaves and our vacation leaves and emergency leaves,
Mm.
we also have leaves like passion leave. We also have leaves like if there is a maternity and a paternity leave, how
Mhm.
about our trans community? So we
Mm.
created also a gender reassignment leave for 30 days for free. Like stuff
Mm.
like that. We
Yeah.
try to create something that matters to our team.
Mhm.
Because those leaves were created because the way we talk to our team, they would really like tell us what are the important things to them. Passion,
Mm.
Yeah.
um, gender alignment. And apart from all those other things, it's very important that how we design experiences in our culture should hit what makes it meaningful for them to stay in your company.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I think a lot of people struggle with like how to keep employees, right? And that's how you build loyalty.
Yeah, and especially
Yeah.
now there's a lot of options. Like
Yeah,
So
so
many
many.
options.
because
many.
of borderless, right?
Yeah.
You can just have freelance work in Spain or in the
Yeah.
US.
Yes. Of
And there's
course.
a lot of
Yeah.
options today that you are just one of the many options. So it's
Yeah.
important that you create something that attracts them. No?
Yeah.
It also makes me think though, because we started this episode today talking about our clients in general have, as a business, a responsibility, like a
Yeah.
social responsibility, right? Or like as the companies that we run and are a part of, we have a social responsibility. Correct me if I'm wrong, but when we started, my idea of social responsibility was to like the outer world, the rest of the outside world. But
Mhm.
now that we're kind of wrapping up, and
Oh wow,
narrowing
we already
in.
are.
But as we narrow in, the social responsibility as a company is not actually for our clients on the outside, but it's for the inside also.
It's holistic,
Also.
like what
Yeah.
Raymond
Yes,
said.
it is. It is. It is. It is.
Yeah. So I think that's important because it does naturally reflect. I
Yeah.
think we only give emphasis to like our outside world, our brand, what we look like to the outside.
Yeah.
And we don't actually take care of the inside, which is like our company culture.
The inside is very important.
Yeah, like it won't actually align. And so we're entering this time where people are starting to realize, oh, if there's a problem on the outside, I don't fix the outside because I don't have control of
Yeah.
that, but I go inward.
Diba?
You fix
Instead
what
of
you
going
can control.
outer.
If the inside is rotten, it will show.
Yes.
In the inside kasi, when you like create things, for instance, social response, CSR,
Mhm.
it also brings pride and fulfillment to the inside.
Mm-hmm.
I like, this is why I also like creating works for the community.
Mm.
Like, one of our pillars that I talked to you about is purposiveness.
Mhm.
Like, you create meaning.
Mm.
Because it's so easy to just create something. But to create with meaning, I think it's very important today, especially with the way the youth is being shaped today.
Yes.
Very, very woke, and like they really want to make this world a better place.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And it's when you have that kind of culture in a company, it's easy to like stay and feel
Yeah.
like you belong and like
Yeah.
feel fulfilled because there is that fulfilling factor of helping the community. And to us,
Mhm.
it's very ingrained in our culture now. You gotta create something for the community.
Mm.
So now we have doing work for equality, inclusion. We're doing work for sustainability, women empowerment, education,
Yeah.
and all these are from our people. Like they nominate something that we wanna invest our time and money on,
Mhm.
and we put it out to the world. And to me, that brings a lot of pride internally and a lot of fulfillment and meaning.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
I
very
think that's what
important.
makes you stand out also as an advertising agency, especially in the context of where I was coming from when we first started this. And now
Yes.
I see it completely differently because back then, and this was years ago, I was creating ads that I didn't feel connected to.
Yeah.
If anything, it was even against my own values for
Yeah.
myself. But I forget also that you're able to do this.
And you can really also decline things that you don't want to do. Like
Yes.
in our company,
You
we've
do? I'm
declined
very
so
curious
many
about
things
it.
that we're not
Aligned with.
Aligned
Even
with.
how if the
Yeah.
client is really huge.
Yeah.
if the
Or-
client is really very important to us, like they are our top client, we talk to them about it. Like we
Ah.
find ways on how
Yeah.
to balance it, how to like negotiate
So
things.
because the relationship is
if
there
the relation,
already.
yes, if the relationship is
Yeah.
there. But if it's like new client and like at the
Di talaga
briefing pa lang,
align.
like parang, why are you being mean to my team? We're not gonna work with you.
Yeah.
Example like. Or
Yeah.
why are you giving me a tight deadline? If this is how you work, then we don't want to work with you.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
I'm not saying in a mayabang way na we
Yeah,
decline
yeah,
clients.
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
saying
yeah.
that you have also the choice to decline clients and work with
Yeah.
clients you want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's also a lot of
Yeah.
opportunities
Yeah.
out there.
And you know what? I think it even makes me think maybe this whole concept of like a toxic advertising world was because those boundaries aren't put in place in
Yeah.
the inside.
And I'm not saying it's not true. It's true. It's really
Yeah.
toxic also.
Yeah.
Like in other agencies, it could be very toxic.
Yeah, but I
And I
think
see that. I
it's
agree with you.
it's a good thing now though because toxic is not necessarily always bad, but it's maybe toxic because you are lacking boundaries and you lack
Yeah.
a healthier
Yeah.
option.
Mm.
But now that there's more awareness about this, we're able to have these conversations. There's a space for everyone,
Mm-mm.
and you start to actually feel like you're a part of something with bigger purpose. I always tell my team, don't just post to post. Posts are not just marketing.
Yeah.
Vice versa. So yeah, what's the meaning behind it?
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
I actually
True.
like whenever my team posts their work because, of course, when you post your work like on your personal pages, it means that you feel connected to it.
Yeah.
It means that you have
You
pride
feel
in it.
proud.
Because me, I only post work that I like. There's a lot of work coming out of our agency that I also are okay,
Yeah.
but not really personally that I really really like.
Mm.
So there are those, and I like it when my team posts their stuff because that
Mhm.
means they have pride in it.
How do you want to be remembered?
Oh my god, I
Raymond
haven't
Sison.
thought about that.
Do you want to be our closing question for every episode.
Yes. I think it's all about we're put into this world. Purpose is legacy. You know what I mean? It's like, what do you want to leave behind?
Purpose is relevance.
Yeah. Also, exactly. How do you want to be remembered?
Off the top of my head, or maybe what my heart is saying,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I want to be remembered as that kind human being that wants to make this world a better place.
You
And I
really
don't mean
love
that in a
humanity.
cheesy way, but in a way that I
Yeah.
feel like if I can make something a little better, like
Mhm.
even just a little thing, no, I'll be very, very happy and fulfilled. It's very simple, man.
No, definitely. It's you say that, but it's not a simple idea because yeah, it's very easy to go through this world, I think, with so much hardship.
Mm.
So
To
much
have-
pressure.
Yeah, to have a cold heart and walls up. And so I find it very admirable to have gone through life and still choose heart.
True, that's a really nice ending.
Thank you so much.
Thank you
can
so
go
much.
on for
Thank you.
days.
I enjoyed this talk. Thank you for
Yeah.
inviting me.
So much
Oh.
more.
I feel like my shoulders like relaxed.
There's
Y-
so
do you
much more to
f- like?
talk
I feel
about.
like I'm like hugged right
Wow.
now. Yeah.
But thank you
Yeah.
for inviting me here. I had
Thank
a
you
great
so
time.